I'm Sue Stockdale, Deputy Editor of Coaching Perspectives magazine for the Association for Coaching. I'm here with Darren Robson, CFO. Darren, it's great to see you.
It's really great to see you as well, Sue.
And I'm fascinated to learn what you think, why coaching for social change is really a relevant topic for the AC to cover in the magazine.
Well, I think the first thing is that if you look deeply at the purpose of the Association for Coaching, we talk about at the very end is about social impact. So I think that's the first point. It's actually baked into our purpose, which is really important, I think. And I think also if I then put myself in sort of Catherine, Alex and my shoes, we were very lucky that we got mentored by Sir John Whitmore. And, he was, as we know, a huge advocate for social innovation and sustainability. And so I think that that's really deeply rubbed off on us. I think also most of our leadership team and most of our contributors really care about social impact. And I think more broadly, I think the profession of coaching sees that it's got a responsibility to actually make this world that little bit better. So I think for me, it's levels on levels on levels. We originally started to launch social innovation way back in probably 2006, 2007. We started to look at this more seriously. It didn't really take off, and then subsequently I went on to create MOE Foundation. But we were practicing within the community, the AC community, for a long time before I actually launched MOE. So it's something that is deep within the fabric of who we are.
And I know that you've got an article in this month's magazine about the MOE Foundation, and you're something you're really passionate about, Dan. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so MOE Foundation was an organisation that germinated within me from my childhood, from growing up on a council estate, 70s kid, and just seeing quite a lot of social deprivation and poverty and alcohol and drugs and sort of a lot of misuse of that. But I was very lucky that I had a very loving family and a very loving mother, and there were 4 of us as kids. And so we grew up in a family that was deeply loving, whereas a lot of people that we grew up with didn't necessarily have that. I left school at 16 with no qualifications, and I've subsequently gone on to go back to university in my mid-20s, and I was very fortunate to get a first, and then I got a master's, so that helped. Unfortunately, as I was doing my master's, I was just about to finish it, and I was about to go on to do a PhD, which was unearthing the entrepreneurial DNA at Cranfield. It was all lined up to do, and unfortunately my mum died on the 10th of July 2000. So she was only 52, and I had to fly my brother back from Australia. My sister was travelling around Europe in her second year of her degree, and it was a very traumatic experience. My younger brother was only 16. And so we got up at her funeral. We wrote a letter that actually, if you go onto the MOE Foundation website, you can see what we said. But in essence, what we said is we would set up a charity that would help kids from less privileged backgrounds, and we would support them and we'd find a way to support them. So now that was in 2000. And we did things like running marathons and raising money. And I went off to Tanzania and built chicken farms and gave footballs away. But we found that it wasn't fulfilling us, really. It wasn't really hitting the need to contribute. So eventually I finally got the courage to actually stand up in front of about 100, 120 people, who a lot of them were my friends and professional colleagues, and said, it's now time for us to, birth this charity. Something I've never said is that I never even told my brothers and sisters. So my brother and sister came to that, and my other brother was in America. And I told them, right now it's time for us to fulfill that promise. So I think that, it was a promise to our mother that we would help young people. And, that's really important to us. The wonderful thing about the MOE journey is that at first we began in 2000 by offering a coaching program to young people. That coaching program has now gone on so that we help change makers. We help other people that help young people. We don't just help young people anymore. We're very open, and we support as many people as we possibly can. We've now got, I think it's about 540 coaches that are actually MOE certified coaches, and quite a lot of them are members of the AC, and a few of them have gone on the accreditation journey. We weren't intent on trying to create lots of coaches, just to be clear. What we wanted to do was give the gift of coaching to people as a transferable life skill. So what we're not trying to do is create a coaching company. What we're trying to do is give people really important skills. And we're very fortunate, we've now 1.5 million we've gifted since 2012, which is quite incredible. In September, we're about to launch the new MOE platform, which will be a digital platform. We're going to raise the bar, and we're going to say now we want to positively impact 1 million people. And once we've done that in 3 or 4 years, we might do it quicker, we're then going to go for the bigger dream, which is by 2045, we want to positively impact 1 billion people, which is ballsy. It takes a lot of courage to say that. And I don't make commitments or promises unless I believe that we can do it. So we've been incubating this for some time, and we know now is the right time to go for it. And the other thing to say is that, Sir John Whitmore was one of my mentors. He was one of the global ambassadors. He was somebody that inspired me to create MOE as well. And when John was coming to the end of his life, we talked a lot about a lot of different things. But one of them was both Catherine, Alex and myself in the AC, but also me with my MOE role, was that I made a promise to him that I would do everything that I possibly can to try and make this world that little bit better. And so for us, what fundamentally sits at the heart of MOE Foundation is that we want to give people skills, tools, a mindset, a philosophy where it's down to them and up to them. But hopefully the outcome of that will be that we make the world that little bit more sustainable. The way we discuss that and talk about that is that we make the world spin that little bit more beautifully. So there's a very deep sense of loving this planet, loving the people on it. And actually, at the moment, this is our only home and we need to look after it. I've got 3 young daughters and I want the world to be better for them, not worse.
It's clear that you're really passionate about this subject, Darren. And for those listening to this recording that may not have access to be involved in the MOE Foundation, and yet they may want to be involved in social change in some way, shape or form as coaches, what do you think from your experience are the top tips that they should be cognizant of as coaches working in the environment of social change?
I think that's a really great question. I think from my experience, and then I'll broaden it out to what I've observed in others. So for me, it came from a place of pain and difficulty, and I've used that to actually spin it into something positive and optimistic. So I think for those people that have actually suffered some difficulty and you've survived, actually look at yourself as somebody that's got a lot of gifts to bring to the world. So I think that's a really important point, because I meet a lot of people that have had a very similar upbringing to me, but the difference is that they haven't necessarily had the love. And so their confidence has been knocked. So the first thing is, if you've got this diamond, is the way I discuss it, but you've got this diamond, you've got this big idea inside of yourself, let it birth. What I would say is ask people for help. So that's the first point, is if you've got a big dream, go for it, share it with people. The other thing is I'd say is trust the world and trust people. It took me a long time to share what I truly believed in the world because I was scared of the voices that would tell me off. And of course, those voices were my own voices. So I think that's important. I think the other thing to say is I'm a jack of all trades, really. I'm not a master of anything. I really love surrounding myself with people that are really masterful at lots of different things. And I think that for me is deep, purposeful entrepreneurship, because I can't possibly do all the things that I do without being surrounded by talent that are far better than me. So I think that's another thing to say is get out of your own way and actually have the humility to say, actually, I'm not the best at everything. And actually, I might not be very good at a lot of things. But actually, if I have a really deep purpose and a really deep why, it might attract some people to join in that. So community is really, really important.
So you talked, Darren, about yourself and Catherine Tulpa and Alex Zabo, the leadership team of the AC. And here we are in conversation in a digital format. Clearly, that's an important facet for many organisations these days heading into the future. Can you give us any insight into the role that digital technology may play within the AC going forwards?
So we're really starting to experiment with how do we support our community's voice emerge across the world. So the AC now is in between, I see different stats, 50 to 55 to 60 to 65 different countries. Doesn't matter. The AC has got representative small communities and members or community members across lots and lots of different places. Now, what we need to do is give those places a voice and build a platform to do that. The only way that we can really scale as an organisation is digital. Yes, we want to ensure that there is a community and there is physical events as well, but we see, that play is really, really critical. And so we've just had, one of our leads, so Umut, who runs our Turkish community, he's just said to us today that what we need is more Turkish voice. We need more people talking about the things that are important to our community in our language. And so we think that that's going to be important. So podcasts are going to be important. Webinars, as we've been seeing, are becoming increasingly important. Video casts. But the key thing is it's about giving space to members of our community that have got a voice and that have got deep expertise to share. And we think that can come from anywhere in the world. More broadly is if we look longer play, we think that the Association for Coaching is going to have representative communities in every country in the world. And so that's the journey that we're on as an organisation. We're not rushing towards that. We want to grow organically, go faster, go slow. We want to grow steadily, and we want to be in service of our members, because that's what drives our success. Our community is everything to us.
So it really seems like we've come full circle in that if you have members and a community around the world, ultimately they can be impacting social change in their own environments where they are.
Absolutely. And, we want to support that, not just social environments, but, commercial environments, their personal lives, all sorts of other areas. And I just want to give you a quick story. So John Whitmore and I would often talk about lots of things, but one of the things that we talked a lot about was, Gandhi's be the change you want to see. And actually I had a huge amount of frustration with that, because I thought be the change isn't enough. Then people start talking about lead the change. And actually where John and I got to in the end, we were saying, look, coaching has got to become a driver of change, not just to be a passive, which is a challenge to the mindset around coaching, which is going to be interesting. And actually the way we talked about that is that this coaching eventually leading the charge. And I really fundamentally believe in that. And that is a challenge to some people that have a very purist mindset about the coach approach to leadership. And I really respect that. But what I'm seeing is that actually on the journey to mastery and excellence and purpose, I think coaches are one of the most important communities in the world. I think that we're going to raise the level of awareness and consciousness in the world, and that we will hopefully, start to really see improvements so that we can defeat poverty mindset. We can sort out water issues, wars and things like that. We know that coaches on the whole are great listeners. And I think that's what the world needs more of, is listeners. And I know that's ironic, Sue, that glint in your eye as somebody like me who likes to talk once he gets going.
So thank you so much for your insight and ideas. And I'm sure the listeners will be really keen to get even more involved in Association for coaching activities.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.